mold me, shape me, help make me more than what I am.
Reaching the lost.
I'm just here to tell you that God's in the process right now of establishing some bridges.
Teaching the found.
We've got to be able to get a generation from one side over into the next.
With passion.
There is power. Power. Power in the name.
And purpose.
I just had to make up my mind a long time ago that I'm going to do this come hell or high water.
Power for Living with Bishop Dale C. Bronner.
As trouble and trials increase in my life, so increases God's consolation in my life. Consolation, say consolation. Consolation is the ministry of bringing comfort, cheer, and encouragement to others. It is the ministry of bringing comfort, cheer, and encouragement to others. And so as we go through trouble, the same God who has to comfort us also enables us to be able to comfort other people who are in any trouble. That tells us in essence that the stuff that you're going through is not about you. It's only that something is happening to you so that something can happen in you, so that something ultimately can happen through you. So that the same God who comforts you when you were in trouble now uses you to bring consolation, comfort, encouragement, and cheer to other folks who are in trouble. So when you've gone through difficulty, if you faced health challenges, if you faced relationship challenges, if you faced financial challenges, and you needed God to comfort you when you were about to lose your mind, when you couldn't sleep well at night, and the God of all comfort who comforts you now qualifies you to be able to speak comfort to others. I don't want to be comforted by somebody who's never been through anything. Don't tell me you know what it's like when your daddy dies and then somebody said, you know, I know how you feel. No, you don't. Yours is still living. I want somebody who's lost somebody close to them and whom God had to comfort. I want them to be able to speak comfort to me. I want somebody, a mother that has gone through having a baby out of wedlock and fearing what people would think about her and the struggle that she would endure in trying to raise a child all by herself, and then see somebody else who gets pregnant out of wedlock. Now she's qualified to speak consolation into the life of another person. I'm telling you, it's not all about you. It's about what God is qualifying ministry through you to be able to bring consolation into the lives of others. I want to be counseled by somebody who knows what it's like to invest money in something that goes belly up. And then when you lose money, that they can tell you it's not the end of the world. I know it may feel like the end of the world. I know you're mad. I know you thought thoughts not of suicide, but thoughts of murder. And I know that you really want to end somebody else's life, but now you begin to speak comfort into the life of another individual. See, it's not about you. It's not all about you. When Paul was beaten and he was in prison for the sake of the gospel, this is why Paul could say, I glory in my tribulations. You know why? Because Paul knew that that thing was not about him. He knew that it was about God doing something in him. And so he said in Philippians chapter 1 and verse 12, he said, the things that have happened to me have fallen out for the furtherance of the gospel. That word furtherance means to make the road longer. That the thing that I've been through, that God will use it to make the road longer. And that's what our grandparents went through, where they worked hard. They didn't even have money to go to college themselves, but they worked to send their children to college. And so that they could make the road further for another generation. So because they loved us and they wanted us to go farther than they had gone themselves. That's what true love does. They realize this is not about me. This is about my legacy. This is about my heritage. This is about seeing them go further than I was able to go myself. It is saying that the things that have happened to me, what I've gone through, what I have gathered, the experience that I have gathered, the wisdom that I have gathered, it is so that my grandchildren can go further than what I was able to go. That's what true love really does. It realizes that this thing is really not about me. And so I am convinced, I'm really, really convinced that when God does something in our life, that he is trying to teach us valuable lessons of humility. Something that we learn over in Luke chapter 10. In Luke chapter 10, I want you to listen to this in verse 19 and verse 20. Now we've quoted Luke 19 a lot, where Jesus is speaking and said, behold, I give you authority to be able to trample on serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you. But then listen what he says in verse 20. He says, nevertheless, do not rejoice in this. Don't rejoice in your authority, in what you can do in my name. But he says that the spirits are subject to you, but rather rejoice because your names are written in heaven. Now let me translate that to you in the Brunner translation. It in essence teaches us, don't rejoice over what you can do for God. Rejoice over what God has done for you. See, we rejoice over our right standing with God, not over our works. Don't rejoice over your works because it's not about you. We rejoice over what he has done on our behalf. That's why Jesus said in Matthew chapter 7 and verse 22 and 23, he said, and many will come to me saying, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works. And then he says, I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of iniquity. I don't even know you. It's not about what you can do, because it's not about you. It's about what he has done for you. So he says, don't rejoice that the demons are subject to you in my name. Rejoice because your names have been written in heaven, because of what I have done for you. If you're going to rejoice, rejoice over what I have done. Listen, this thing is about Jesus. Tell your neighbor, it's not all about you. It is not accidental that when God chose Moses to deliver the children of Israel out of Egypt, that Moses understood very, very clearly that it was not all about him. In fact, the Bible says in Numbers chapter 12 and verse 3, it says, now the man Moses was very humble, meek, more than all the men who were on the face of the earth. Now, that word meek or humble, it really simply means teachable. Moses was teachable. You don't want to deal with people in your lives that you cannot teach anything to. You know, that's what arrogance and pride and pompousness is all about. It's about a person being unteachable because they know everything. Touch your neighbor, say, I know that guy. Now, if you live with that guy, just look straight ahead, keep smiling. An unteachable man is an unreachable man. You cannot teach a man a lesson that he thinks he already knows. Meekness, though, is not weakness. Meekness is strength under control. God is really concerned with your being able to live your life under control. If a person is not meek or teachable because they think they know it all, then they're not going to be very teachable. So meekness is not weakness, it is strength under control. We ought to be strong individuals, but under control. Let me tell you this, it takes more strength to hold your tongue than to speak your mind. Just let me let you know that one. It takes greater strength to hold your tongue than it is to speak your mind. Anybody, you can just get mad and just let it rip. Y'all know how to do it with compound curse words. What takes greater strength is to be able to hold your tongue. It's to watch somebody else accuse you of something and to be like Jesus and not say a mumbling word in your defense. You know why Jesus was able to do that? Because God becomes the defender of those who refuse to defend themselves. And so he is our defender. But meekness is not weakness. It is strength that it comes under control. It is strength under control. But here's what real humility is about. Humility means recognizing that you are not God, and it is not your job or responsibility to run the world. Now, I've seen side-by-side photos of presidents on the day of their inaugurations, and then the same president when he left office 4 years or 8 years later. The aging acceleration is drastic.